So I am going to finish setting up the grid that I started yesterday. And just to recap, here's the goal. So the goal, I still have some trash in here. Say text, delete, delete. So the goal is that I'm setting up a grid of 4 simulators that are going to be that are placed in a quad, so they are adjacent to each other, so that I can have this middle area over here where there's going to be sort of the auditorium, a large class. And so I divided the whole package of OpenSim into these 3 different services, or service bundles, let's put it this way. So there's the OpenSimulator bundled with the 4 simulators. There's a bundle that has internal services for the simulators, and there's a bundle that has external services that are exposed to the public internet, like the login service. So I explained that yesterday, how this works, and so this is just a recap of what I'm trying to do. And yesterday I set up the configurations for everything, although there's some things that I'm going to change today. I'm going to revisit some of the decisions that I made yesterday. But one of the problems that I ran into yesterday was a problem that when I started the external services bundle, one of the services sort of didn't start because it choked on some on the database creation, or the table creation. And it was the grid user service. It choked on the table creation for reasons that were not clear at the time that I was streaming. But then I spent some more time debugging what's going on, and so I know what's going on. And furthermore, not only that, but then I off stream, when I also started the internal services bundle, I ran into the exact same problem on some of the on the group services, and so they both have the same solution, the same cause and the same solution. So I already fixed the grid user service, so I have my external services already up and running, and I haven't fixed the internal services. I'm going to do it right now. So first, let me explain what the problem was. I'll start with that. So the problem was that an error. So when I started the service for the first time, I get an error like this. So I'm going to show you the log. Okay, so this is the log of what happened when I started my internal server. Somewhere in here, this is the problem. This is the error that I got. So specified key was too long. Max key length is some number of bytes, and this happened on trying to create the OS groups table. Okay, and yesterday it happened on trying to create the grid user table. So the reason why this is happening is some sort of a mismatch of expectations between OpenSim and the newer versions of MySQL. It turns out that for the longest time, the default character encoding in MySQL was Latin 1, and that has a certain number of bytes. Not a lot. I think it's like 3 or something. But now by default, the character encoding for MySQL, at least in the Linux distributions, in the Debian-based Linux distributions, is UTF-8 with 4 bytes. So we weren't specifying, when we create these tables in OpenSim, we are not specifying the character encoding. We just assumed, whatever default character encoding of MySQL Server, we just used whatever it was. And it turns out that by MySQL changing the character encoding under us, certain of our keys that we are using become too big, because now they are, characters are 4 bytes. So in particular, things like varchars of 255, when these columns are used, when we make indices out of these columns, they just become too big, and this is the reason why this is failing, and why the other one also failed yesterday. So So here's a little tidbit of troubleshooting and how to recover from these kinds of errors that may happen when you install OpenSim. Um, First thing to notice that I want to stress out is that the first time that you run something like this, so a service that goes into the database and tries to create something, the first time that you do that is really, really important that you look at the log, because the in the console these lines just fly and you may not be able to see them very well. So it's really important that you look at the log to in search for some of these problems, because they are insidious and they're not very obvious. And the reason why it's important that you do it for in the first time is that when you run it for the second time, you will not see this error. Okay, and I can do it, but I'll tell you, you will not see this error. And the reason is the way that we treat database migrations. Okay, so the way that we do migrations, migrations are this idea that as we develop OpenSim server, the code, some very often we need to update the database schema. So we need to add a new field to a table, or we need to add a new table. The database schema evolves over time, right? And the way that we are doing that without forcing you to issue SQL queries to update your schema is automatically we take care of versioning ourselves. So whenever we do an update of something on the database, for that particular table, we update the version number, and we have a whole other layer that's called the migrations layer in OpenSim that takes care of tracking that, of managing the version numbers for the tables. And all of that is in a database table called migrations. So let me explain to you. I'm going to dig down a little bit into OpenSim land and OpenSim development, because it's important to understand some of these errors that on the database. So, pardon. Let me go here into screen. I think I have a MySQL session somewhere in here. I don't. But I could. So let me start the SQL session here. Or I could actually. Okay, I'm going to log into the database as OpenSim. I'm going to use the OpenSim thing. You always do this, Sarah. All right, show tables. So if you see the tables over here, there's a bunch of tables that have been created during the boot up of these services. And the one, so these are all okay. One thing that we take care of versioning, the table that takes care of versioning, is this table called migrations. So if you look at what's inside, select start from migrations, you see the different services, the versions at which they are. So user account is a version 6, etc. And notice that the OS group store, so this service that's supposed to be OS groups, is already stored as migration number 3. So for the migrations purpose, it's as if it has been installed. Okay, so the next time that we run it again, we will not see an error, because OpenSim detects that there are no migrations anymore. So it assumes that the tables have been created. Okay, so it's a little misleading, because the meaning of these migration numbers is, did OpenSim run that migration, whether it succeeded or not, right? And that is a little problematic, because if it doesn't succeed, it stores here as having run that migration, but nothing in here says that it failed. So we need to be careful. That's why I'm saying very, very, very pay a lot of attention to what happens in the log the very first time that you run one of these services, both the the robust servers and the OpenSimulator, because they all create tables on the database. And if the table creation fails, you will see it the first time, but you will not see it again. And then if you didn't notice, then when you start the services, things will not work. All right. So So here's what I'm going to do. There's different ways of doing this, but so in this particular case, this is a corner, a very special case that the defaults of MySQL changed from under us, and our database specification now is needs to be fixed, and so we have fixed it. It's already fixed in the master code in OpenSim, so for it will be fixed for 0.9.2, but the version that I am installing, which is 0.9.1, doesn't have the fix. So what that means is that I am going to create the tables myself by hand. Okay. So basically, OpenSimulator, errors out on creating those tables. If I run it, even if I delete this entry here on the migration, which is what you need to do in order to see the error again, it will error, okay, because the statements in SQL are wrong for the default of the character set of MySQL. So the only way to recover from here is to actually issue the right table command, table creation command, and so it's already in OpenSimulator. So here's where I know this because I was debugging this with Ubit yesterday. Um, so here's where you want to go. You want to go to OpenSim, the code, GitHub or whatever you have the link. GitHub OpenSim, and then I'm going to tell you where to find. This is again a little incursion into OpenSim development in the code. It's a good opportunity to dive in. I'm going to show you where the database schema is in the OpenSim code. Okay, so it's here and under OpenSim, and then under data, and then you have one folder for each type of database framework. So for MySQL, it's here, and this is all the data models for the data objects that we store, but the schema is actually here on resources. Okay, so in here you'll find a bunch of files with extension migrations, and this is where we define the database schema and then additional changes that we make over time. So for example, for OS groups, so this is the groups table, the one that failed. All right. So here's the version 1. This is in the beginning, when we started. These were our tables, and then at some point, okay, I'm not going to talk about this. This actually should get out of here because I doubt that anybody has installed, because there was a version that I had made groups first for just the Diva distribution, and then it was included in OpenSim, and so some installations out there had tables called Diva groups, and so this is a way of kind of merging them to main OpenSim. Anyway, but you can see a true change. Okay, a true change is this one. At some point, somebody added modifying the timestamp column to be not null and to default to the current timestamp, which apparently was not the case on OS group invites. Where was OS group invites? Right, so it was just not null, but didn't have a default value. So at some point we decided to add a default value. So this is the number 3 in that migrations table comes from here. All right. So all right, so what do I need to do? I just need to create this myself. And as I said, in the code right now, what you are looking at, it's already fixed. And how did Ubit fixed? It fixed it by adding this extra directive character set Latin one. Now we don't need UTF for these tables. So if I issue these commands, I should create these tables, and everything should be okay. So let me do that. I'm just going to copy paste one by one here on the OpenSim schema. So let's go. Okay, first one was created. Second one. Third one. fourth one. The fifth one. Hello. Another one for notices. And another one for principles. Okay, and then I should also do everything, the migration. So I don't care about this renaming that happened, but I care about changing this timestamp. So I can, I'm just going to do this, alter the OS group invites. Okay, so now I should have the tables all good. Let me see, show tables. In here, there are all the tables over there. I should be good. The grid user table is also there. That was the one that also had an error, and I already fixed it yesterday off stream. And the OS groups is also there. Okay, so this is how to fix problems of database creation and table creation if you run into weird things like what happens right now. I mean, this is a pain in the neck because if you download 0.9.1, which is the current release, and if you're installing this in a Linux server, apparently you are going to run into this because they changed the default from under us. Hopefully, now when we come to 0.9.2, we will not run into this problem for new installations. Okay, so having said that, let me just recap um, what what I have here. So if you see what I have here, I have a bin folder that has these little shell scripts that start the processes that I want. So I don't know where that text file is there. The external one, I can show you what it has. It's the external services. It just starts the a robust server on with using this ini file on the external services. The internal one, which is the one that I'm going to start now, it's the same thing. It starts on the robust ini on the internal service folder. Okay, and so this is the one that I'm going to run. Um, there was, something that I changed from yesterday to today on these scripts. I had them on a loop. Like if the server crashes, this script would loop again and start again. But I just decided to take that because that's annoying. So if the server crashes, it crashes and it stops working, and that's okay. I have to come back and start it manually. Another thing that I changed is the log file. So this is something that Ubit and I were also trying to figure out how to specify a different log file for each one of these processes. So it turns out that there is a configuration file in Robust and in OpenSim. For example, here, robust.ini, that you can specify the log file on the startup area. And there was a little confusion about the spelling of log file. Honestly, I'm confused, so I just put them both for good measure. Log file all lowercase and log file with camel case capitalization. I don't know which one, but this works. It will create the right log file. So if you specify different, so this is for the internal, and if you see my external, it is this one, robust external. Okay, this creates different log files for the different robust processes. Okay, so having said that, let me start my internal service. And actually, for good measure, I'm going to remove the log file because I want to look at it again to make sure that there are no errors. So I'm going to remove the previous log file, and now I'm going to start the internal. Hopefully there are no errors. Okay, That didn't seem to be, but because these lines flash so fast. Um, okay, so Ubit is saying that in 0.9.2 it will be log file lowercase. Um, good, it's good to know. So let me look at the log file, which is going to be placed here. Robust int. I'm just going to eyeball it to make sure that there were no errors. Okay, there are no errors. Region DB, great. Okay, so fantastic. I have my external. Let me show you. So I have my external on this tab of screen, and what you see here in red are error messages from robust server uh, when somebody calls these other you know service endpoints. And this is, I know because I've seen this before, there's a on campus, the IT security people run these automated bots that issue these requests to all of the servers that they find on their network. And so this is just to find vulnerabilities. And so robust doesn't serve these endpoints, so it errors out. So this is the external process. On another tab, I have the internal process, and so now we are going to be ready to actually start the simulators. So for the simulators, let me detach from screen. I did something yesterday, and then Ubit suggested something, and I think that's the right way to go. So what I had yesterday, if you see here, if I go sim1, is that I have my simulator.ini official sim2. This simulator.ini file is supposed to be all the common configurations among all the simulators. Okay, and then the local ini is supposed to be the things that are really just specific to each of the simulators. And the way to connect them, our configuration layer has this way of being able to include different files as it runs. Um, and the way that I had done it yesterday is in the simulator file, so the simulator file is the common one, and then at the very end, I am including the local sim. And this is a little brain dead, and I don't remember. I have been doing this for a long time, and I don't remember why. I hope that this is stupid, because the better way of doing this is to for these local ini files to include the common one, and then in the common one you don't need to customize it at all. It's just a common, everything that is common. So the only thing that is customized is the local thing. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move the one of them, so sim1 dot simulator dot ini, to the the top of this little quad. Okay, so I'm going to have this simulator.ini here. This is going to be common among all simulators. I'm going to edit it. Um, there's something wrong on my terminal that includes this extraneous character when I do VI. It's very annoying. So I'm going to go down to the bottom, and let me copy this. And I'm going to delete this. All right. I'm just going to delete this. So this is just going to be everything that is common is going to be here in this simulator.ini, and then everything that is local is going to be on that local file. So now I'm going to edit sim1 local sim.ini, and now what I really, oh man, damn it. So what I really want to do is to include the common stuff before I do anything else. So before I add my customizations, I'm going to include the common thing. So I'm going to change this common. And oops. Simulator.ini. And this is important. It has to be included before. The way that our configuration tool runs is that it passes sequentially from top to bottom. So whatever so I'm going to give it as the seed file, this local file, right? And so this local file, our configuration starts by running, collecting all the configuration variables that it finds from the beginning to the end. So it's important to run the common ones first, because some of them, the common ones, are going to be overwritten here. Okay, so for example, there's a startup section in here, in this file, that some of those variables are going to be overwritten here. Okay, so it's important that this goes up. So the order of these includes is important, because it determines the order of overriding. So I hope this works. I've never done this like this. I hope this works. Let's see. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other two. So let me see what's in sim. Let me see first if I removed it there. Yep. Okay. So the sim2. I'm going to remove sim2 simulator are there. sim3 and sim4. And now I'm going to edit sim2 local, and that's that annoying thing over there. Paste this here. Edit sim3. Paste this here. And edit sim4. Paste this here. Okay. And just to refresh, so what's in here in this? So I have the common stuff among all the simulators here. So this is common. The add-ins, whatever I add extra with mono add-ins is going to apply to all of the simulators, because I want them all to have the same add-ins. Another thing, that I noticed that I probably should have done a little better is that I placed the asset cache on the directory above. The asset cache is actually just a cache for a cache that can be shared among the simulators, not among the simulators and the robust server. So I am going to change. I'm going to move that folder asset cache to the simulator directory. So let me do that. To here. But now I need to change the configuration, which is some okay, this is the part. This is really okay. This is a really ugly thing. I am going to sometime I will change it. This works as it's going to work as it is, but there's something that I don't like in this setup, which is, if you notice here on my simulator file at the end, there is this directive to include something that is going to be under the binaries folder of OpenSim. So this is something that is under OpenSim/bin config include group. And I think that's when you want to do a deployment, you really want to separate all of your configuration files out of the OpenSim binary folders, because what happens is that if you update OpenSim binaries, you don't want to rewrite or having to do the backup of your configuration files. So that's a problem. So one of the important things that it's there, even if you follow this chain of includes, okay, let me show you. So if you look at the grid hypergrid, it includes, this is confusing, it includes uh, first thing that it does, it includes the grid common. So basically in here you shouldn't change anything. That's fine. You should not change anything in this file, but the grid common is your file. All right, so this one is your file and needs to be changed by you. And so if you look into this one, grid common, the first thing that it does is that it, I haven't set up the password yet, but it includes, is it the floatsum cache, it's the asset cache. And this one has the configuration in yet another file, which is this floatsum cache.ini. So let me open that one. And this is finally where, let me actually edit it. And this is finally where the cache directory is specified. So I'm going to have to, this should not be under OpenSim bin. I have to save it out of there. Anyway, so this is supposed to be in the simulators asset cache. That's right. Yeah, Ubit is reminding me that before all these OpenSim inis, the very first one is something called OpenSim defaults, which sets the default for every single configuration variable, every single documented configuration value that we have. There's some configuration variables that we actually don't document, and we just find them in the code when we're doing archaeology. Anyway, so this is how you change the cache directory. And again, maybe in some other day, some other stream, I will figure out how to save or move these important configuration files out of here, because it should not be in the bin folder. But for now, this is good enough. All right, so this is under here, I have everything that pertains to simulator servers. So the asset cache, the different configurations for the three different simulators, right? And the common simulator.ini. So when I want to change, and I will change later some configuration variables related to, the X engine, for example. I just need to change it in one place, which is here. I don't need to change it in 4 different places. So that's the idea. All right, so I think I am ready to start simulators. The only thing that is actually missing is adding the password. All right, so I don't know why my headset. Hold on just a second. Okay, my headset for some reason disconnects by itself. I don't know why. If it goes down again, I'll have to change my microphone. Disconnected. Okay, fine. So what was I saying? Yes, I need to change the password for MySQL on the simulators. That was that configuration variable over there. And again, it shouldn't be there where it is. But for now, I will leave it there. So I'm going to remove this out of stream so that I can just set up my my password. 1 second. So this is under OpenSim bin config include, what was it called? Grid common. Grid common.ini. Actually, it's not. It's going to be on the connection string. So connection string, database OpenSim, user is OpenSim, and the password is whatever your password you set up for the OpenSim for the user in MySQL. Okay, let me bring this back. So, drum roll, if everything is correct now, I should be able to start the simulators. Let me go back into my screen session. This is the central internal. So let me go here. Let me quit out of the MySQL thing. I still don't have the bin script for the simulator, so let me do that. So let me change to bin. I have internal and external. I don't have the one for the simulator. I should add that. 1 second. 1 second. So let me add one for sim1.shell. And this can be something like this. So here's one that I'm going to copy and paste from another file. All right, so cd, not this. OpenSim bin. All right, and then here's that loop, okay? And let me take this out of here because it is the loop that I sometimes run grids with because if something happens that the simulators go down, I just had the script restart them again, but I'm not going to do that here because sometimes they go on on a loop of failure and they clog the log, and I don't want to have to deal with that. I'd rather see them fail and go down. Um, yeah. Okay, so here we go. Let me remove this loop out of here. This external setting of the log file also doesn't work. So not doing anything is much simpler than that. I'm also going to remove the debug out of here. Let me take the done out of there. And now customize. So the ini file is going to be Krista virtual classes, not configs. It's going to be simulators sim1, and it's going to be local sim.ini, right? So this is the seed file for the configuration. Right? It's the one that starts by including the common file. Hopefully this will work. So I change there, and then I start mono OpenSim on this ini file. I think this is all I need. So let me copy it. And now do also actually cp sim1. You know what? Before I copy, let me actually start this. Okay, here. Wait. Chmod a plus she x sim1. And now I should be able to start this. Let's see what happens. Oh, chan chan chan. Drum roll. Do I have? Did I set up? Did I set up the? Wait. Stop. Let me see if I set up the right log file. I don't want to deal with this, different processes writing to the same log file. Simulators, sim1, local sim. See, I didn't. Okay, I knew it. So it's going to be okay. Log file equals. You know what? Not. I'm going to let it write into bin. I'm going to set to say sim1.log. Okay. And again, for good measure, because I don't know what's happening in 0.9.1, I'm just going to say log file equals sim1.log. And I'm going to do the same for the others. Hello. right, I forget. This is 3, I think. Yeah, this is 3. And finally 4. All right. Okay. All right. So now is the real drum roll. Let's see if this works. Oh my god. Oh my god, guys. Cross your fingers. This is where a lot of red sometimes spits out on the console. I'm afraid to press return. Okay, here we go. Okay. Doing something on the database. Right, the region store is a heavy one. There's a lot of changes that over time that had happened over there. So far, so good. Okay. What's the problem? Uh, region UUID. Okay, this should not have happened. It's trying to create a region UUID. Um, it should have found it. Okay, I'm going to let it roll, but then I need to fix it. It's going to create some stupid regions file somewhere. Okay, what Fs? See, this is definitely not, it didn't find the right regions. Why? Because it's supposed to have their regions.ini. What's the problem? I don't know. I have to find this. What is going on in here? Help, help! What's it doing? That is so stupid. What is it doing? Stop it. Okay. Loaded config for region common sim. What the heck is that? Alright. I'm gonna let it run. It's gonna error out for probably. There's some. So it's doing this right. It's finding the regions ini right. Okay, it's finding the region one. Um, what is common sim? Did I leave something there? What the heck? I don't remember anymore. Okay, let me run and error out and then we'll figure it out. Region start up? What the heck? What's it trying to do? That is so weird. It's trying to create regions out of the local sim ini. Why? This is just so wrong. I'm not gonna let it go. I'm gonna kill this. This is just wrong. It thinks that local sim ini is a regions file? Seriously? Why would it think that? Okay. Can I kill this thing? Um, mm, here we go. This one's misbehaving. Alright, so what the hell just happened here? Let me see. Let me see what's going on in there. Okay. So there's something wrong in Oh my God. Okay. I know what's going on. This is a directory, so it's going to try to load all the ini files in that directory and try to create regions out of there. Oh, this is so brain dead. Oh, okay. I cannot believe this. All right, so I'm gonna have to fix that. I'm gonna have to change. Okay, the regions ini need to be in a separate folder. That totally sucks. Um, local sim ini. So let me put it in a separate folder called regions. Okay. And now I'm gonna have to create that thing. I'm gonna have to move. You know what? Let me detach. I'm going to move sim1 regions.ini to sim1 regions. And then I'm gonna have to do the same thing for the others. So make their sim2 regions, sim3, sim4, and now I'm gonna move sim2, sim3, and sim4. Okay. All right, so let's go back to screen. Okay, so let me remove the log file. It's called sim1. And let's try again. All right, drum roll again. So for now, the database is already created, the tables are created, so right, okay. So let me kill this. I need to create an account first before I do anything. Okay, so I need to create an account at the grid level. So creating accounts is done on the wherever the account server is, which is, if I remember correctly, on the internal one. So here, create account, create user. How does it go? Need to remember. Oh yeah, okay. Vista. Is it going to show up here? Okay. Okay. There we go. Okay, random. I don't know, model name. Okay, so now we have a user. And now we should be able to actually set the state. Let's see. Because, by the way, this user in the configuration file of somewhere, I made this as the default estate owner. So let's see if this works here. Oh my God, it works. Okay, yay. All right, so now I should be able to do the same for the other simulators. So let me go here to bin and just copy this. and change. This should be sim2. And finally sim4. Okay. So Ubit is saying that there was a red line. There was a red line. Typically, yes, I should probably look. Typically, there's some red lines sometimes when you start simulators that don't matter. So, but I should look. Let me do that. Let me look into what's going on. And this is harder because it doesn't show the color, so it's harder to see where the errors are. But let's see. Don't see any error. I don't see any error. Nothing jumps at me. I don't know if anyone watching the stream is seeing any error. No warns and no errors, just infos and debugs. Oh, there's a warn. Forcing to implementation. Any other warns? I don't see anything. Oh well. Yeah, it was the PID. All right. PID was already there, right? Okay, in the very beginning. Okay, all right. Got it. There you go. Good catch. Good catch, Ubit. Thank you. This okay. It's when you kill processes by externally with the kill command, then the PID file is still there, and then when you start it again, it says that the file is there. No big deal. All right. So screen minus X. Here we are. Okay, so this is simulator 1. I'm gonna start simulator 2. All right, sim 2. Okay, it found. Okay, no, this is not okay. What the heck? Loading config file. Oh, did I not change this? Oh my god, I did not change this. Hold on, I need to change it for the other simulators too. All right, it's this one. Okay, so I need to go here, sim2, local ini, and the region load is going to be regions. Same thing for 3. And the same thing for 4. Okie dokie. Let's do this again. Oh, I'm inside the screen. Okay. Uh, wait. What the? Okay. Whatever. What? Stop. Alright, so sim 2. What's going on with my screen? Alright. sim2.shell. Let's see what happens. Alright. Okay. Let's start sim 3. Good. And let's start sim 4. Oops. Need to create one more. Okay. So, if everything is correct, I should be able to log in into this grid now. I believe I opened all the necessary ports that need to be opened on my campus firewall. And I'm going to do so, just for extra fun. I'm going to do it from a virtual machine, and I'll talk about that some other time. Let me try to put this into the stream. All right, so this is the topic for another stream, but I'm packaging a virtual box that has the viewer, and this is what students are going to use. Maybe that's my current plan. Uh, anyway, so I'm going to try to access that grid from here, and that means that I need to add it here. Preferences, OpenSim, add new grid, Niagara, ICSCCI view 8002. Let's see if it works. Oh, okay, something worked. Right, it's just that the welcome is not there because I haven't installed Wi-Fi yet. That's okay. You know what? And it should be 8002. So I need to change those. I need to change those variables too. All right, all little fixes that need to be done. The login page needs to also have 8002, and all of this stuff needs to have a 0. Sometimes I install Wi-Fi on port 80, just because it's a web application, so it should be on port 80. But I'm not going to do that on this box because I'm actually using port 80 for a regular web server. So it has to be on 8002. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The grid login is what matters for now, and that one is correct. So let's say yes, and I should be able to log in. Let's see what happens. Cha 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 cha. I mean, almost always when I install a grid from scratch, there's problems with the firewall. Oh my God! It's actually, can it be? Can it really connect? Oh my God! It's connecting to the region. Amazing! I did not mess up the firewall. Ah, here we are. Awesome! Yay! Yes, welcome Anteater. Anteater is our campus mascot. Our university mascot is an anteater. Where did I land on zone 1? Good. Everything is flat. Excellent. All right. Not bad for a virtual machine. Okay. Grid is installed. There will be some tweaks that I will be doing here and there. As you could see, the Wi-Fi URLs are not quite right. I will need to revise all the configuration variables for the script engine because the students are going to be using it. So I need to pass that revise that really carefully line by line. And next, I'm going to install the Wi-Fi web application, but I'm not going to do it on this stream. I'm just going to make a little break but I want to install the Wi-Fi today. So I need to set up this grid today because I have lots of other stuff to do besides installing the grid. I have to create a campus. I hope that I can find the tar, whatever the OR files from OSCC. I'm going to use that as much as I can. Find free content out there, and then once I have the campus, I need to start actually preparing the course and doing the homework for the students. So this weekend I'm going to do a lot of setting up things, but I'm going to stop this stream here. This was just to explain how I did to install a grid from scratch. And I will start again in a couple of hours or so for installing the Wi-Fi web application and some extra plugins that I use. One of them is going to be to let the students log in with their university accounts. So some sort of a web auth that they have here at UCI. So that's all, folks. I will see you later. Hope you join when I install Wi-Fi later on. Bye.